Hello, everyone. Welcome to Customer Experience Life. Keeping up with the rapidly evolving customer expectations has never been more important than it is in today's digital age. Some of the challenges faced by various industries is keeping up to date with all the latest technology, but also having the correct CRM systems and other operations in place, whether it is internal or outsourcing based. To get a clearer picture on such services, we are joined today by Sam Hanna, Chief Revenue Officer at RAYA CX, a world-class business process outsourcing and contact center outsourcing service provider, which offers customer experience management, C-rental solutions, back office, and digital services to global clients in Europe, Middle East, and Africa in 15 different languages. Now, Sam, first of all, we are about halfway into 2022. So, what do you think are the main challenges in the customer experience and customer service industry that you've been seeing so far this year?
I guess what we've been facing so far, I guess it's I would say number one is how to draw a clear ROI to clients. So some clients, they come across and they are trying to exactly stand on the value of outsourcing their CX and what exactly the ROI that they will be reaping or gaining out of outsourcing their customer experience. So this is one of the challenges, I guess, that probably both sides fall into, client side or buyer side and the provider side. And if this is not really kind of like, I would say, calculated clearly, then probably there is something that needs to be worked on in order for us to reach that. That's one of the challenges. So reaching or defining the ROI clearly. And I'd probably say the second thing is no actionable data. Customers, they have a flood of data, and how to make sense of or draw an insight of all this data. I guess that's the second challenge for CX that we've been facing with clients coming to us and say, okay, you know what, I have tons of data, coming out from my bots, my chat, my website, my social media, how to make sense of that, So those are probably the two highlights of the challenges that we've been facing so far.
Absolutely, Sam. We have heard from some of the other, industry experts that this unstructured data is one of the biggest challenges in the CX industry this year. Ever since, the digital transformation has taken place so rapidly, people have all this data and they're like, okay, what do we do with this data now? So another discussion 100%. That we often hear is outsourcing versus in-house operations. So what are your thoughts on this when you look at the pros and cons as well as financial implications?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. Well, from my point of view, I guess it's been settled a long time ago, but still, you would face every now and then buyers coming and asking, so what's exactly in it for me? I already have my operation ongoing and everything is pretty stable. So why would I just rock the boat and outsource? So usually you answer like in four main points. Number one actually is the best practice sharing. Having deep domain expertise in certain industry, this is what actually clients get to have if they outsource. We've been through a lot of, I would say, bumps, challenges, and we know how to fix those. So you don't have, as a buyer or as a client, face those on your own. We can help pretty much in fixing those right off the bat because we've been through that before. So best practice sharing is number one. Number two is no operational hassle. I believe that often buyers, when they calculate the cost element, they probably calculate only the very visible costs, but they kind of like oversee the hidden cost. There is a big operational hassle cost involved, like the attrition, people challenges all the time, so you don't have to go through that and you focus on your core business. Let's say if you are like a fintech, you are in the business of financials and the fintech, as you know, is growing by the day. Why go through the hassle of having man-to-manage agents? This is one of the thing or second thing. Third, I would say probably scalability and flexibility. I mean, we have so many clients in the e-commerce and retail space, and you know how seasonal this business is. So you would definitely have the ease now when you outsource to increase the workforce or decrease the workforce, scale up whenever you want. Even if you want to run a campaign with the notice, time notice, you can easily have that done and very well taken care of, and get all the analytics and the data that you need after that campaign is gone. You don't have to stick with the workforce that you hired in excess to face that campaign. So scalability and flexibility definitely is number 3. Number 4, I would probably say best of breed infrastructure and technology. Just imagine today, if you are a startup or even a company very well established, you don't have to keep on upgrading your infrastructure and technology as you go. You don't have to keep on doing this as you go. We do it for you because this is our bread and butter. This is our livelihood. This is our business. We're in the business, in the market for that. So no upgrades of licenses, no expansions of buildings or property. You don't have to do all that. We do that for you, and that's a hefty capex if you think about it. So these are probably the 4 points that I would mention.
That is absolutely right. Talking about these technology enablers, what do you think is the top technology enabler which is driving the transformation that we're seeing when it comes to contact centers and customer management?
I mean, you hear the hype about digital transformation has been going on for a while, and I guess it's been pretty much expedited with the pandemic and everything. You know, people are like looking now for different ways to communicate and to serve their customers. So, I mean, from my vantage point, omnichannel platforms, you know, are probably number 1 enablers today. I mean, I was just recently looking at a survey, and oddly enough, after voice being still number 1 across the markets as channel usage, well, social media jumped as number 2, you know, and that was not the case maybe 3 years ago. So you have like voice, social media, email, SMS, web chat, you know, and so you have, when you think about it, if you have a good, strong platform, omnichannel platform, this is when you can actually kind of like have a good grip on managing your customers across these multiple touch points. So to me, I guess, you know, this is probably the enabler when it comes to technology.
Absolutely. And I think because a lot of people are these days, there's very little people doesn't have social media. And I think people find it very, convenient to just text the company and then like get the response right away. And obviously, RAYA CX has many clients in born digital industries that you've touched on before, like fintech, insurance, health tech, and many more. What do you see is the most sought after digital CX feature, considering it being a fast growing sector?
I would tell you way right off the bat is the chat, because the type of clients actually that would love to be clients for born digital or fast growing technology companies, being a disruptive business model, they will probably would not like walking around and having a phone stuck to their ears, and using voice. So usually it's like web chat or having something done on even WhatsApp as a channel and so forth, like different channel, but chatting. One of the things that we did actually is having a bot deployed for a client and taking care of repetitive questions. And that was a fintech client asking about interest rate and so forth. So we got that taken care of using a bot, a chat bot. And that was actually a good saving for that client being a startup, and was very efficient given it's a repetitive question that keeps on coming up. We did the same thing, the same client adding concierge service through a bot as well. So whenever they have an event, promotional event or marketing event, we covered that by bots, taking care of all the inquiries that coming from their attendees through a chat bot as well. So I would say definitely chatting is number one.
Last but not least, how does RAYA CX distinguish itself from other players in the market, considering these days every CX provider has pretty much the same claimed capabilities and similar offerings?
That's a great question, Wei, I tell you. We try always to distinguish ourselves and stand out of that value parity narrative. So you find a lot of people actually saying the same, or a lot of providers probably reciting the same value prop for all their clients, and that kind of add more confusion to the clients. So our struggle, I guess, is how to define that value wedge that we have. Like what's the area that actually could add value to clients. And believe it or not, I mean, in every presentation we have that for our buyers. If we cannot, and I mean, when I actually sit down with my team and we have a clear inquiry from a client, and then we sit, and if we cannot actually define clearly the value that we're gonna actually put in that business, in that CX, how we're gonna actually enhance or improve, or what kind of incremental value that we're gonna actually put on the table, what we're gonna bring to the table to that client. If we fail in doing this, I tell you that that's probably not the right partner. And this happened before. So back to your question, and to answer it precisely, I would say number one is define the value clearly to the client, and that value could be in a clear ROI that we actually bring in. So whether it's a saving through higher efficiency or better serving new market that they don't have the capability to serve. So this is one thing. Second thing, and I guess it's even more important, and that brings me back to the beginning of the interview, which is actually making sense or an insight of the data. We get a lot of data from clients. They capturing, and sometimes these data are really lethal when it comes to competition. So if we don't help them to make sense and insight of this data, then probably we did not really do a good job. So these are, I believe, this is the value that we bring.
Thank you so much for giving me your time today, Sam, and congratulations to RAYA CX team for winning Best CX and Operational Excellence in Contact Center Award at our previous Customer Experience Life Awards.
Oh, thank you, Ray. It's been our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Very well deserved. Congratulations to you and the team again, and I hope to see you again to continue this conversation soon.
Absolutely.